Priestess Goths and Flower Children alike, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anitra. How y'all doing today? So, we're back, and we're back with doing intros like this where I'm just standing. So, what's up? Today, we're going to be using this screen printing kit. Don't mind my bed. But yes, I got this screen printing kit a couple years ago as a birthday gift. Thank you, Zane. You're a real one. And I'm going to be testing it out today. So what we're going to do today, we're going to test out the kit. We're going to see how it looks, how it goes, how it jams. And then we're going to take some of these materials and use them for other tote bags that I bought from Michael's also around that same time, or like a year later, whatever. And we're going to create our own designs and see if I can potentially use this for my own benefit as, like, you know, making tote bags and things. I love tote bags. I have way too many of them. So we're going to test this out today, and hopefully we don't mess up too many times. With that being said, let's get started, man. Okay, so here we are. This is the box. Let's see what's inside. National Geographic. So before we get started, let's open up the box and look at the materials. So here is everything that was inside the box. There's fabric paint, blue painter's tape, there's this little brush and little scrapey thing, and also underneath the tote bag there are different types of stencils and a book of instructions. When it comes to the stencils, there are a bunch of different designs, like ocean animals and these dinosaurs here. There is a tote bag in the box, and it's actually a pretty good sized bag. And finally, there's a screen to help with the application. So basically that's, you know, that's all of the materials that we got, including the bag. So I guess, well, we can look at some instructions and get started, I guess. Let's go. According to the instructions, I first needed to cut the front of the box out and put it inside of the bag to keep the paint from seeping through to the back. After finding the stencil that I wanted to use, which was the tropical plants one, I had to attach it to the screen using the blue painter's tape. Next, I took a piece of paper and I used it to cover the other designs on this stencil. This way, the only design that I'm using is the flower at the top. Okay, let's get started. I chose red as a starting color for this project, even though now that I think about it, red is not very forgiving, but it washes out really well. Now the instructions said to use a generous amount at the top and drag down the scraper while holding the screen firmly. This is to give it an even application all throughout the piece. So let's give it a try. Let's see. Hey, that looks pretty good. Of course, I missed some down here, but that's okay. That looks pretty good for the first test. That looks good. That is cute. Okay, so it says here that if you want to use the same stencil, then you remove it from the screen and wipe off the excess. Reattach the screen. Okay, so I'll be back and we'll try to continue this. The next color that I decided to use was the purple that was in the box. I was really happy with how this was looking at this point. Everything was looking really well, and I was actually pretty excited. And then here is where I kind of got scared, but it was my own fault because instead of cleaning the stencil in between passes like the instructions told me to, I just kept going on to the next purple flower, which then caused it to overflow and cover up all the small details that are actually pretty important. Okay, everybody, so I did some more, y'all saw that, and I'm fixing them. These are the last two that I did, and I did it wrong both times because I messed it up because I was rushing and not paying attention. So I was like, okay, I'll fix these later. I need to add, because that one's still super wet, so I'm gonna figure out what I can add to that to like paint pens, like white paint pens. Actually, I still have some of that white Angelus paint from when I did my dad's shoes. Check that video out, by the way. I painted on my dad's shoes a couple months ago. Please go check that out. So I might be able to fix these two. I'm gonna try to fix those off camera and come back, but as I was thinking about how to do that, I did these two. I did some blending on the edges of the flowers here. I'm only going to do on the flowers, not on the leaves, because I'm going to have to fix those as well. So I might film a little bit about how I blend these. I might, and I might not. We'll just have to see. This is what I'm doing right now. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to fix that, because I got to fix it. I'll figure that out. When I figure it out, I'll come back. Yay! Okay, so let's talk about the blending details that I did on this flower. I first mixed up a second darker color for each one, and in this case, it was a red shade. And I started from the edges of the petals, making those really, really dark. And after I got the edges fully covered and saturated, I then used my brush that was in the kit and created a soft blend before going on to the main red shade. Using the same techniques that I did for the edge of the flower, I did it for the middle areas and going from the middle outwards. Okay, so it is the next day. I did a little bit of this. I finished a little bit of it last night, and then I finished the last flower just now before I started filming. And this is basically the finished result of doing the screen printing thing with the materials that came in the bag. This was the only stencil that I really wanted to use, but maybe later on in a different video I'll use the other stencils. We'll see. But yeah, I did this and I really liked it. I was gonna use all of the colors, but I like the red, blue, and purple so much that I was scared that the green and orange would make it look tacky. This does not look tacky and I really like it. I would tote this bag, you know? Tote bag, I'd tote it. You know, be a nice bag, carry around, maybe do some shopping, I don't know, with it, I don't know. I really, really like it. I think that I did a really good job, even with the fancy blendy design on the edges. This one's my favorite out of all the 5. I'd say this one's the favorite one for me because I love purple, love purple. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do next is I have a couple of designs that I'm thinking about doing for my own screen printing thing, because on my Etsy I'm thinking about using or like making tote bags and t-shirts and stuff. We're gonna start with tote bags, something easy. So I'm gonna test out these same techniques just with my own stencils, and I'll show you guys the design process of what I'm going to do, and then we'll just go on with that. So coming up next will probably be the design process, and I'm probably gonna do it on my iPad. So peace, let's do this. I'm excited. Bye. Before I make the stencil, I wanted to create a background for it. So I started with these Angelus paints. I'm going to use them to make a kind of tie-dye watercolor background that looks really dreamy and really, like, I guess ethereal? I don't know, but really pretty. To prep the tote bag, I spray the bag with a lot of water so that the paint will spread out evenly. Not to where it's like sopping wet and dripping, but just to where there's a nice moisture on the top. The colors I chose were blue, purple, and pink. These colors represent Xena the best, so I thought that it made sense at the time. Also, I sprayed some water onto the paints as well to help with the application and make them spread out like watercolor. You know. Here I'm adding a second layer of paint to the piece to, bring out the colors some more. On my camera and at the time of editing this, it does look a lot more saturated, but the next time I do this, like in a different time, I will be adding at least 3 coats, mainly because when it dries, it did become a little bit more pale than I wanted it to be. So here is the finished background for the bag. And now we're going to make the stencil using my iPad and Procreate. Super excited. So let's get started. Let's go. Okay, so like I said before, the character that I'm making the stencil for is Xena. I went with a side profile because I honestly thought that it would look cool, and for the lettering of her name, I chose a font called Tough as Nails because that's how Xena is in my head. And once the design was done, I used my Kkjkk machine to cut it out. There's a piece of the old cutout. I'm also using Shrinky Dink plastic for the stencil because I don't know what else to use. Also, if you're going to do this, use the acetate setting. And also have the right blade, because I don't, and it took way longer than it probably should have. Okay, so we are back. We have made the stencil. Now, here's the thing. I made this like stencil, but I didn't do it right because a lot of the big pieces weren't connected the way that they probably should be. I'll show you a picture of what I mean like over here. Like this was the first set, which is what these two pieces are from. But like, see, I just lost the eyebrow. Like, see, there's the bottom part. So like, see how there are certain areas where like there are bigger pieces that aren't connected like to the background the way they need to be. So then I fixed it, and it's still in two parts because when I was doing it on the Kkjkk machine, it slid. So this is this drawing, and I have the name right here. So I can hold it kind of like that. You see? So with this one, none of the pieces can fall out because now they're all connected together into the background. So it works a lot better, and it's much cooler, and it's not as like puzzle piecey as the first test round, which I'm glad I did it again because it was confusing. Now we've got a stencil, and the stencil works. Here is the dried background bag. So there's the bag. Let me see if I can like angle it. There you go, that's much better. So there's the background bag, and now we're just gonna take our two pieces, and we know we're gonna put them kind of like about that and a little bit like that. I think I'm gonna do this in two pieces because they're not perfectly connected. So instead of it being like up and down, because it's not gonna all fit, I'm gonna have to do it like 1, 2. You see what I'm saying? For the inking color of the outline, I used black, which is also from the Angelus paint, so that it would be easier to see up against all the different colors, and it'll pop off the, I almost said canvas, but the tote bag better. I also used the Angelus 2 Soft, which is very helpful for using on fabric. And here, as you can see, I'm going against the instructions again. My bad. But I have a good reason this time. The stencil was a little bit too big to tape to the screen, so I decided to actually tape it to the tote bag so that it wouldn't move around. But we're going to be moving on. Here I'm applying a very generous amount of this paint, even though now that I'm looking at it, probably wasn't that generous, but as generous as I could be, just like the instructions told me. And I scrapey, doing all the things I'm supposed to do, all the things. And then here were the results after all of my careful work. What? No! Hopefully this one is better. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's awful. So yeah, as you can see, I was and still am a little bit annoyed, but it's not the technique's fault, it's my fault, and I can fix it later. So anyway, let's give it another try. And with a quick snap of the fingers, we can get started again. And yes, I painted this one off camera, so let's try this again. After trying to use the same screen and technique thing that I did before, I got frustrated and I decided to use a brush for the whole thing. It made it go by a lot quicker and I wasn't as scared or nervous now that I had the brush, and I could just use the excess paint that was already on the stencil to just fill in the gaps. Yes, was it messy? Of course, but it wouldn't be good art or art at all if it wasn't a little bit messy. Except maybe digital art? Is that messy though? I guess it can be depending on what you do with it, but you know what I mean. All art can be messy sometimes. Back to the video. Real quick before my camera really dies, this is the finished piece. I will show you what it looks like in the sun later, but here it is. Well, it's not finished, but there's the finished outline. I'm gonna add some more bedazzles and things, but I like it. I think it's really cute. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna add some other things to it later on, and then I'll take them both outside and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm also going to try to fix this one. I'll let you guys know though. Okay, bye. And here are all of the bags. Here's the first one with all the different flowers. I really like how this one turned out, even with my fixes. And then here is the other tote bag that I did. This was the second one. And yes, I know I did all of the little details off camera, but after a while I was done with my camera. I just wanted to turn it off. But I really, really like how these turned out. And this was the first one that I messed up. I actually had a lot of good compliments on this one, especially like from my family. They really like this one. So what do you guys think? Okay, and here are the 3 bags. I love all of them. I think they all turned out really, really cool. The kid was actually pretty cool. I liked making my own stencil. I'll probably actually try to figure out what sort of filament the stencils are actually made out of so it works better. But I think these turned out really, really well. I like them. This one looks more like Hot Topic. That one looks more like Claire's. Y'all know, if you know, you know. But anyway, I had a lot of fun. Let me know which bag you guys liked in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out all of my other social medias. You know, my Instagram, my Etsy, my all that jazz. Oh, my Pinterest as well. Don't forget those. And with that being said, have a good rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, or night, wherever you are on this wondrous globe. Eat some good food, drink some good drink, get some good sleep, and listen to some good music. Know that there are people on this planet who love you, and I am one of them because I do. And to all my mystics, goths, and flower children alike, that's going to be the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Love y'all!